So I used to save pocket money for about 2 weeks and then go to Cafe Coffee Day, have a cappuccino. It was 50 rupees. Even today, if CCD gives a franchise, I will take one.
South Indian filter coffee or espresso?
Tough. South Indian filter coffee.
What does these judges actually judge when it comes to a coffee from an Aeropress?
So 3 cups are presented at the same time. So they obviously are looking at the best cup out of the 3.
Okay.
So how would you define a best cup?
Cafes like Starbucks and all, they don't even talk about Liberica. They always emphasize on Arabica.
If they had to launch Liberica in India, for all the coffee shops, it would be practically impossible to get good quality.
2025 in Milan, you were competing for the World Championship,
Yeah,
right?
I was really disappointed that I stood 15th in the place. However, I was the first Indian to reach the semi-finals in the last 23 years. And in India, for us, we don't have access to foreign origin coffees. In India, we don't import coffee.
Why?
This generation or even my generation were not motivated to become baristas because they would not get respect in society.
So whenever we visit Benki,
Yeah.
we see hashtag stop bad
Stop
coffee.
bad.
What is a good coffee and what is a bad coffee?
Let me tell you by what a good coffee is.
Hello all, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Pro Foodpreneur podcast, in which we interview India's greatest food entrepreneurs. And today with me I have the 4-time National Barista Champion, consecutive champion for the last 2 years, 25-26, and also the semi-finalist from India in the World Barista Championship happened in Milan 2025. Someone who is called as the coffee man of India. I have with me today Suhas Dwaraknath. Hi Suhas.
Hi Karthik.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me over the show.
Glad to have you here.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your origin story.
Mhm.
So you are called the coffee man of India.
Yeah.
So take us back to the beginning of your journey with coffee.
Well, I've been in the industry for 15 years now. And how the love for coffee and passion for coffee started was when I was back in school. I used to cycle past this Cafe Coffee Day. I owe it to Cafe Coffee Day in the first place for me being in the industry.
Wow.
So the second Cafe Coffee Day in the country opened close to where I live. Jainagar 7 block is where it opened. And I used to cycle past it, and I used to love how the cafe looked, how all of the coolest kids in the city hung out at Cafe Coffee Day. Right, so I used to save pocket money for about 2 weeks and then go home on a weekend, go home, dress up after school, fix my hair, accessorize and all that, and then go to Cafe Coffee Day, have a cappuccino. It was 50 rupees.
50 rupees.
50 rupees back when I started going to CCD.
This was in which year?
This is 2003.
Okay.
Yeah, 2002, 2003. And that's when I decided that once I finished studying, I come from an Orthodox family. They said I have to have a double degree, right? And otherwise I won't get a girl to marry. So I was like, okay, I wanted to finish my double degree and then eventually open a coffee shop.
Okay.
And I finished my double degree, and I asked for money at home to open a cafe. They said, no ways, it's a stupid profession to be in. Who opens a coffee shop, right? And so I landed a job in the Middle East. I moved to the Middle East. And there I got exposed to foreign coffee culture because there were so many expats living there, Australians, Americans, Brits, etc. So they knew so much more about coffee than I did. I didn't even know that you needed a certain kind of a coffee machine to make a cappuccino. I always thought you hit a button and then you get a cappuccino, like a fully automatic of sorts. But I didn't know the latte art was made by a human and not by a machine, and all of these things.
Correct.
But when I got exposed to the coffee culture there, I started studying. I said, there's so much more to coffee I should learn before I open a cafe, because I wanted to save money and come back home. And once I started studying, I figured there is so much to coffee than what I know. And then it was a rabbit hole. I fell in love with the whole science of it, and I obviously loved equipment, which is what I got into as well. And that's how I landed in coffee. Landed into coffee, and then worked for a French coffee company. I was heading the brand in the Middle East. And I was parallelly studying as well. I finished my diploma. I judged international coffee competitions and all that. And I saw coffee was picking up here in India. and I wanted to be a part of it. And then I obviously wanted to come back home to my parents and everything. So I came back home, quit my job there, came back home and started business here in India. And
Great.
that's how I got into the coffee industry.
Great.
Yeah.
So what was your double degree about?
So I did my business management, bachelor's in business management, and then I did my master's in international business, finance and marketing specialization.
Okay.
Yeah.
So already like you were in the direction of business management
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
How helpful it was in your journey of coffee?
To be to be honest, a lot of the theoretical aspects that I learned in college did not really help. But I also was lucky to do my masters in a college which was very experimental. It doesn't exist anymore. It was from the Jain group. It was called MATS. It got merged into the actual college. We didn't have lecturers in our college. We had industry professionals. Like a banking head of HDFC used to come and teach us banking. A practicing lawyer, business lawyer used to come and teach us business law, etc. So that was very helpful for me for sure, because we were learning from industry professionals and not just lecturers. So that really helped. The real world information that we got when we were doing MBA, unfortunately it does not exist. But yeah, that way it helped. But any of the textbook stuff that I really studied didn't really help me a lot in business. Yeah.
You started noticing about coffee, the science behind it, everything in the Middle East, you said.
Yeah.
But what was your career in Middle East in the beginning?
So I was selling ad space in a retail magazine.
Okay.
Because of one of my projects that I had done was in retail. I'd done it at Allen Solly. So I just wanted to move out, get money and come back home, right? So I was willing to take up any job. So my first job was selling ad space in a magazine. I did that, and then I eventually found an investor, and then I started my own business. I exited that in 2014, and then started working for a client of mine, which was this French coffee company.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how the journey was in the Middle East.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from ad space to this
Business, my own business in Dubai.
Okay. And
Selling coffee equipment.
Okay.
Yeah. And exiting that, and then selling coffee for the French coffee brand. It's called Café Richard. They're France's biggest coffee company.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was there selling coffee for a living, and then 17 moved back home and I started this.
So I think during those years in Middle East, you become a certified SCA trainer.
Correct.
And first Indian to do that?
Yes, I'm the first Indian to become an authorized trainer from SCA.
Okay.
And also a first diploma holder from Specialty Coffee Association.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So how did you get that opportunity to, get into that space?
So when I started off in the industry, there were not many people who were willing to teach, because it was a closely guarded profession. They didn't want to teach too many people, so that they didn't want them to become competitors. But however, specialty coffee has changed. Today people are much more open, friendly, etc. But back then it was not the case. So the only avenue for me to learn about coffee was finding training courses, etc., which was also very, very less back then. But SCAA, Specialty Coffee Association of America, were conducting training programs in Dubai. So that's when I enrolled for them, and then I learned from there. And that's how I started my journey in education in coffee. And then when I started working for SCAE, started working for Café Richard, which is a European coffee company, they said they will support me if I were to study in SCAE, which were two separate organizations before. There was an American organization, there was a European one. Different curriculum, different structure and everything. So I started studying again from scratch at SCAE, because they did not recognize each other's curriculum. Yeah. So I started studying with SCAE, and then eventually by the time I was going to finish my diploma, both the organizations merged.
Oh my God.
And there was a uniform curriculum and uniform exam which was globally recognized. So my diploma is from SCA, However, I've studied SCAA and SCAE,
Oh my God.
part of each. Yeah.
Okay. So this was in 2016-17 that time?
No, much earlier.
Even much earlier.
2011.
2011.
Yeah, yeah.
So 2011, the coffee industry in India was not what it is today.
No, absolutely. I mean, there was a coffee industry because Cafe Coffee Day was very big.
Yeah.
There was Barista as well, which were the two predominant chains in the country.
Hmm.
But otherwise, there were these small mom and pop, if I may call it, single owner owned
Standalone.
outlets, standalone outlets that were there. Very few.
Very few.
There were no specialty coffee concepts. There was Mark's Coffee in Pondicherry.
Oh.
Yeah. But otherwise, Blue Tokai only started 2012.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was the time how you got the guts to get into an industry where the industry was not as it is
Yeah,
today, right?
yeah, yeah.
So did you see the potential in the industry, because you got into
Yeah.
professionally trained?
Yeah. Not really. I think anything that I do, even today, motivation is never money for me. So even today, when I do a new thing in business, it's just because I ask myself, is it going to be fun doing this? And then I do it. Even back then, it was the same for me. I never went into the intricacies of how much money will a cafe make, what is the ROI. All I knew is this is the money you need, because that is what I got from the manager at Cafe Coffee Day. He had told me outlet like this will cost you this much lakhs. Back then I think it was around 25 lakhs, which was a lot back then, because for 25 lakhs you could get a 2-bedroom house back then.
Correct.
Yeah. So he said 20 to 25 lakhs is what it will cost you to set this up, the jukebox, the coffee machine, the kitchen and all of that. So that was my goal. I never asked him how much profit is the outlet making, when will I recover the 25 lakhs, all of that. So even when I started off in Dubai, I never once thought that will this make me rich, or I said this is fun and this is just I want to do it, and that's how, and I continue to do that even today.
But do you agree that you focus more on the passion part?
Yeah.
And is it fun for me is
Yeah.
what you actually focus
Yes.
on?
Yes.
But do you also believe that, did you realize that it is also bringing you money?
Absolutely, because I'd heard so many times, right? Like motivational speakers would have told, my elders were telling me this: don't work a day in your life. If you enjoy what you're doing, it will not feel like work and all of that. But that never really hit me back then, or I didn't take that as an inspiration to start this. I just said it is fun and then I'll do it. And God's grace, yes, it is. I'm making a decent living out of it, and then I'm able to pay my bills, take care of my family. That's a positive. I mean, that's a bonus for me, I would say.
Yeah. So is it even the same today? Like when you started, you never focused on money.
Yeah.
But now that you are an experienced entrepreneur now, how do you see the economics of the business today? Is it still the same? Like, okay, I don't focus on money, or you see ROI, everything today?
ROI I still don't see,
Okay.
to be very honest, because ROI I would have to see if I have to exit this business one day. I mean, if I have that in mind, I would have to see ROI. Today I do get a little commercial because there are 70 people whose salaries I have to pay, and that is the biggest responsibility I have today, because they pay their bills, and most of the people in our company are sole bread earners for their families. So that for me is a responsibility today. So I will have to make money so that I pay them, and then they take care of their families. So that has changed a little bit for me now. If it was me alone, then I wouldn't have bothered that much, because I don't have a very fancy lifestyle, for that matter of fact. So yes, now I do think about money, profitability, etc., so that I can keep paying salaries on the right time.
Correct.
Yeah.
Got it. So you became a qualified trainer, right? So how much training is fun for you?
In terms of doing the trainings or
Doing the training,
Yeah.
and developing multiple people,
uh,
baristas and cafe owners.
yeah, I think that is the most enjoyable part that I have today. Like just last month, two of the coffee shops whose owners are students and who I've consulted and trained their staff, won the best cafe. Bangalore won it.
Okay.
Lento Cafe, second house Goa. They
Oh.
won the best cafe as well. So that gives me so much joy, right? I might have not spent the whole day there or the whole year there with whatever I did. I was a small part. I wouldn't say it was just because of me, because their service, their food quality, their ambience, all of them played a role, not just coffee. But I feel so happy that they won because I was a small part of that. And the owners messaged me. I was traveling somewhere. Both of them messaged me. They tagged me in their posts and all of that. So that felt really, really
So
good.
you get a lot of fulfillment.
Yeah, absolutely. Get a lot of fulfillment by looking at them succeed, because I know I was a part of what happened in the background. So I enjoyed that the most in the business. But as a business owner, unfortunately, I can't do that full time. Yeah, even though I try to make time as much as possible to do that.
To do what?
Trainings.
Uh-huh.
Trainings, yeah.
Now your team is taking care of
Yeah,
that.
the school is completely headed by a team. The last training I did in the school was probably 8 months ago, I think.
Okay.
But I would love to get back into training.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
I do corporate trainings at the moment. So some high-level corporate trainings I do for senior staff of some of the leading coffee chains in the country. For that, I personally go. I started it this year again because now like the sort of team is built and things. So corporate trainings I'm doing. When I say corporate, these are high-level managers at coffee chains.
Oh.
So I in fact travel on Sunday to do a week-long training for a brand.
Okay.
Yes, day before yesterday I was doing a training for a brand. Yeah.
Got
So
it.
it's like this. Yeah.
So we discussed about your origin story. Now let's talk about Benki.
Yeah.
So 2017, when you moved back to India, you started Benki, right?
Correct.
So what was your first vertical in Benki? Now you have multiple verticals,
Correct.
like manufacturing, training,
yeah.
consulting.
Yeah.
So what was your first vertical in Benki?
It was equipment.
Equipment.
The first thing that I did when I moved back was I started manufacturing. So month one we had our tools and accessories manufactured here. I started working on them right away. We had signed up about 6 brands, distribution rights for 6 brands in India. Before I even moved back, I'd start the conversation when I was living in Dubai itself. And then I had got the products in by the time I moved back to India itself.
Okay.
I'd done multiple trips and then managed to get all of the products in so that I have something to sell as soon as I came back. So equipments were the very first thing that I started doing. But in the third month, I think some people got to know about me. I met few coffee professionals and then they had already asked me to come train them or their staff or something of that sort. So in the third month, I started trainings, going to the clients' places and I started training. By the fourth month, I had my own space and I had started doing trainings at my space itself. Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, you completed the SCA as a trainer, right?
Correct. As authorized.
And how that idea of training to an equipment manufacturer came?
So I'll tell you when I moved back, when I started the company, the vision was already there. I said that this is what I want to do. But I was working with such low capital that I had because I started the business out of my savings. So when I had to do this, I couldn't do everything at the same at a go. So from day one, the vision was to be this whole ecosystem, which was I wanted to be spread throughout the whole supply chain. That is, I wanted to have my own coffee farm. I wanted to have my own coffee roastery.
Okay.
Then my own coffee shop.
Okay.
Then my own equipment and my own training center.
Everything end-to-end supply chain you wanted to
I
create.
wanted to own the whole supply chain.
Okay.
From day one, this was the goal.
Don't you think it is too much overwhelming for you to own the whole supply chain?
It is, and a lot of companies, I mean, a lot of people I meet, a lot of, like let's say, business gurus or investors that have met me, they've told me, Suhas, you have diluted yourself too much. You should not be doing this. But again, going back to the same logic, right? If it's not fun, I will not do it. And this is fun for me, right? I don't know what valuation, what am I valued at? I don't know how much loan will I get. I never really thought about that. And I was I'd set my mind to doing this, and then today we have achieved all of that. So we own the whole supply chain. Today we have 2 coffee shops, we manufacture our own equipment, we have a factory on Kanakpura Road. We have the equipment company, we distribute 56 coffee brands, we have schools in 6 cities. Delhi, Jaipur, Mizoram, Hyderabad, Bangalore and Chikmagalur.
Wow.
In Chikmagalur we train coffee farmers also. School and equipment and farm and roastery. We have done the whole thing now. Now it is for us to grow this whole thing. Yeah, because also the reason why I wanted to do that is I wanted to have absolute control over quality, one thing, and then also like COVID sort of taught me that how this has been helpful. I had not thought about it, but COVID was a wake-up call for so many businesses, right?
Yeah.
And for me, during COVID, my cost was so much lower than everybody else, right? I could rely on one business or another to keep paying the bills. And then also we saw a price shock 2 years ago in coffee. If you have seen coffee prices doubled. In a span of 6 months it doubled. So a lot of businesses took a very bad hit. But for me it was not the case.
Because you produce your own coffee.
Yeah. So cost of production was the same for me. So that way it did not really affect me. We didn't increase prices at the cafe. The coffee prices have still been the same, 180, 190 rupees.
Wow.
Which has been from day one. We were even cheaper because we had a small kiosk. But now we have a bigger space, we have to have AC, so many other things. So we did increase the price because of that, but we didn't increase the price because of the price doubling in coffee. I mean, I said I will not try to make extra money now, even though I could have, and then we stayed the same. Yeah.
You said creating the whole supply chain is fun.
Yeah.
Among the different points of the supply chain, which is more fun for you? Is it your cafe, or is it manufacturing? Is it roasting? Is it your farming? What is more fun for you?
The least I know about in the whole supply chain is farming. So because I don't know so much about it, for me that is the most fun today. Yeah. And equipment I've been doing for 15 years. Training roughly about 8 years. So since I can't say that I know everything, because there's always something to learn. Every 2-3 months there is new innovation, something that keeps coming up. But I know the least about farming, so that's the most fun for me today. Yeah.
Got it. So what was your wife Dia's role in your whole journey?
Divya was never, she's...
Oh, sorry, Divya.
Divya, yeah. So Divya was never, she comes from a coffee growers family. She's from Coorg. Yeah. But she never lived in Coorg. She was born and brought up in Delhi. Army kid. Father-in-law was in the army. So she used to live in Delhi. So she had no connection to coffee as such, and no passion for coffee at all. But she had been an integral part of the whole journey that I've had. We used to see each other. We were not married when we used to live in Dubai. I'd seen a lot of ups and downs in Dubai, because I'd started business, new country, new laws, new customers. I don't know the market so well. So it was a very tough time. She was in a very good job. She was a banker. She was in a very good job. So she kept the bills paid back then, a lot of the months. And then eventually when we moved back to India, she still was working in, she had a stable job elsewhere, and she was still helping me with the business post 6 o'clock. And then for a matter of fact, I couldn't afford a chef when we started a business at Benki. So post 6 o'clock, she used to come help me make food at the coffee shop. So she used to handle the kitchen for a very long time.
Oh my God.
Because I couldn't afford to pay another guy at Benki. So she used to finish her job and then come. Then as business really picked up, she took a decision that she'll quit her job and then join me full time in the business, because I used to travel a lot. And again, when I started business, it was tough because specialty coffee was not a thing. So nobody really wanted to buy specialty coffee equipment. So many of them made fun of me for getting a machine that was 11 lakh rupees Whereas back then, selling a 2 lakh rupee machine was already a very big deal. And here I was in my coffee shop with 11 lakh rupee machine. So, but today it's become common now. Like 15 lakh rupees is a okay money to spend on a coffee machine. So many of them were making fun of me, and then so I had taken on a lot of projects in the Middle East, again for the same purpose, to pay rents, to pay salaries, take care of the family, and all that. So I used to travel quite a bit. So she quit her job, and then she started helping me in the business
Okay.
when I was away. Even today, she handles finances
Oh.
in the company.
You're given the right thing to the right
Yeah,
person.
absolutely. Otherwise, you would be bankrupt by now. So, like just last week, I was saying that I want to buy this roaster, and then there's actually no need for that roaster. But I was talking to another colleague of mine. We were sitting in a room, and then Divya entered. She heard us talk, and then she started shouting at both of us. Right? So she's like, "You guys pay for this roaster from your own money, not from the company's money." So a lot of the brands that we sign up, I really like that brand. And like I said, I don't see commercial viability. Will the country buy this? I don't see that, because I like the brand. I sign distribution rights for it.
Yeah.
And eventually, after 6 months, 1 year, we realize India doesn't really like this product at all. It's just I liked it. Yeah. So those kind of things she stops me from doing now.
Correct. So the right filter for
Yeah.
your thought process,
Thought process,
when
yes.
it comes to viability.
Correct. So she looks at all of those. So yeah, she handles the finances right now.
Okay.
Even though now we finally were able to afford to hire a CFO beginning of this year. So now we have a baby as well. So she spends a lot of time with the baby. So this is how it's been for the last 8 years.
Great.
Yeah.
So she played a huge role in your journey.
Yeah, very crucial role.
And still playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you said 11 lakhs, 15 lakhs machines today cafes are using. You do now consulting, training, and you also do distribution, right?
Correct.
So out of all the machines that you deployed, what is the most expensive machine?
I think we have sold a machine that is about coffee machine in Hyderabad that is about 55 odd lakh rupees.
Oh,
A single
what does
coffee
it
machine.
does different compared to a 15 lakh machine?
So why do coffee machines become more and more expensive? Is because of the kind of sensors they have,
Okay.
kind of flow meters they have, kind of pumps they have.
Okay.
As you go higher in terms of cost, it becomes more and more precise. So I'll get a little technical here. So when I set a recipe for a coffee, if the water that I use is at 92 degrees,
Okay.
and I taste it and the coffee is tasting phenomenal, if I brew it in 94 degrees or 90 degrees, just 2 degrees plus or minus, the taste of the coffee changes.
Oh,
Right? So the more expensive machines tend to keep the temperature more precise,
okay.
which is not as easy as it sounds.
Okay.
Because it is going through copper pipes, it is traveling a distance, and it is getting dispensed, it is coming in contact with like plastic, steel or whatnot. Not plastic in the high-end machines, it's mostly metal. It's all metal.
Okay.
Only the cheaper machines have plastic parts inside where water runs through, which is not which is a health hazard, to be honest. But however, in the more expensive machines, it is going through a lot of metal. It is touching copper, it is touching steel, which have different temperatures throughout the machine. And there could be variance. But the higher end machines have so many sensors in so many places
Okay.
that it ensures that the water that is getting dispensed
Okay.
is 92.
Okay.
And the amount of water that flows through, the flow rate, also plays a crucial role to maintain consistency. So like these are pharmaceutical grade parts that go into these coffee machine, because it has to be that precise. So that's the reason why they get more and more and more expensive.
Okay.
And obviously aesthetics also play a role. The fancier looking machine, it costs more. Like if you have to bend metal in a certain way, like right angles, curved angles is simple curved angles is easy. But if it has to be in a certain design, it becomes expensive, because the equipment to do that is expensive. The factories that have that kind of equipment would charge you more. So if like a certain part goes into a coffee machine, which is like a special bent material, then the cost of the machine goes up.
Understood. So I could remember, based on whatever we discussed now,
Yeah.
I could remember a conversation with Suraj of Amintiri.
Yeah.
So in his first cafe, also I drank coffee. It was good.
Yeah.
which is in Church Street.
Correct.
And the second cafe in HSR layout, when I went for the pre-launch, he took me to the coffee machine.
Yeah.
And he showed me, Karthik, this is a much sophisticated machine
Yeah.
given by Suhas.
Yeah.
And I asked, what is so different compared to that machine and this machine?
Yeah.
He told me that this is more precise.
Correct.
The precision is good, the output is good, but I didn't really understand
Yeah.
what he really meant.
Yeah.
But now I get it, the temperature,
Yeah.
the overall output,
Yeah.
the variables it can control
Yeah.
much better.
Much better. Correct.
Right?
So that becomes even more evident when you brew larger cups. So when rush hours, let's say in the evening, in an hour you'll have to punch out maybe 30-40 cups. So the high-end machines perform better than the entry-level machines purely because of the parts that are there inside the coffee machine.
So the more expensive cafes invest on coffee machines,
Yeah.
actually they are going to benefit, right?
Absolutely.
So they should not see it only from the capex point of view.
No. Like coffee machines in India even today is sold in a wrong way.
Oh.
The first question they ask is when they go to a cafe, sir, how many cups of coffee are you going to dispense? Right? If the cafe owner says 50 cups or 20 cups, he'll say, sir, this 2 lakh rupee machine is enough. Absolutely not. You can go from point A to point B in an Alto. You can go the same distance in a Merc as well. But that same 2 kilometers that you travel, imagine the comfort, the sound, the speed, all of that. In the Merc, you obviously will get better. So that's the reason why you pay more for a Merc over a Alto, right? So that is something, quality nobody is talking about, unfortunately. Even the sales guys, even our sales guys for that matter of fact, because they all need to make commission and all of that. So I keep emphasizing on this fact whenever we have our sales meeting, always talk quality first, then talk quantity next.
The same principles which you mentioned in the beginning.
Yeah.
Focus on, what really matters.
Yeah.
Then what you need obviously follows.
It'll come. Absolutely, it'll come. So you can't, like Suraj was the same thing. I mean, I love their desserts. I remember during COVID was my first conversation. Amintiri was so famous. It used to be so classy, that packaging that he opened. I'd ordered, somebody had brought it home once, and then I was so amazed that this quality of desserts exists in Bangalore. And I'd called him once, and then he put it in a Uber and he sent it because just during COVID, nothing was there. He put it in Uber or Ola, whatever. He had sent it to me, and I'd spoken to him then. But eventually we met through somebody else, and then I told him the story because it was 9 in the night, and then he picked up the phone and he sent it. Right, during COVID. So imagine I going there to his outlet, having a great dessert and ordering a coffee. Me having a substandard coffee completely spoils my experience of that dessert. Correct. So that is probably because of the machine he has, right? Not because of the coffee he has or the skill set of the barista. So even though he might not, he is selling great numbers, but even if that dessert place was not selling a good amount of coffee, he has spoiled the dessert also for that customer. So that is what I keep telling customers. But unfortunately, because I sell coffee machines, people will be like, hey, he's just trying to upsell.
Correct.
But in all honesty, no matter who they buy the coffee machine from, they should consider this first and then next the volume.
And also usually coffee pairs well with desserts, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Coffee is so versatile, it goes with any food for that matter. Like we think that it won't go with the South Indian cuisine, right? But not really. It goes with South Indian cuisine. Yeah. Like if you go to France or Italy, everyone ends a meal with espresso. Right? They would have had 2-3 glasses of wine, they still end it with espresso.
Oh, really?
Yeah, even if it's dinner, they end it with espresso.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that's tradition for them, and that's become a habit for them.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's
Straight espresso.
Oh. Yeah, because they also see it as a digestive, which is true, because coffee increases your metabolism and helps in digestion. So after a meal, a shot of espresso will definitely help. And again, a lot of us think espresso is something which is really bold and strong. Actually, no.
Oh.
Espresso has the least amount of caffeine compared to any other coffee beverage.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just intense because it's a small shot of coffee, which is 30 ml, and it is extracted with a lot of pressure. So that's why it feels intense. But the amount of caffeine is quite low. If you were to order a pour over, it would have probably 3 times the amount of caffeine as espresso.
Oh.
Yeah, one cup each.
Oh.
Yeah. So they all ended with espresso. So I would say espresso goes with, coffee goes with any cuisine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I won't be surprised if a dosa place tomorrow starts serving cappuccinos and lattes. Yeah.
Which I don't think nobody has done till now.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Not that I know of. Yeah.
So there are different brewing techniques when it comes to coffee, right? So
Yeah.
let's say a milk-based coffee or
Black.
a black coffee. Out of these two, which one you like most?
See, being a South Indian, I was brought up on South Indian filter coffee, right? So milk-based coffee is nostalgia and then is habit for me. So first coffee in the morning every day has to be for me a milk-based beverage. So that is what I drink first in the morning, and then throughout the day, then I drink black.
Black.
Yeah,
So if you have to choose this or that, you still say milk is favorite.
yeah, milk. Is favorite. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And when we see the black,
Mm.
there are different brewing techniques like
Correct.
espresso and then manual pour over
Yeah.
and then Aeropress and anything else is
So anything that does not involve a coffee machine is called a manual brewed coffee.
there? Okay.
So in manual brewed coffee, there are so many. There are different brewing methods. There is Aeropress, there is pour overs, there is French press, there is cold brew, there is Ibrik, which is the Turkish way of making coffee.
Oh.
So all of these are different brewing methods. Yeah, but
So in that-
primarily there is full immersion, pressure, and gravity.
Oh,
So these are the three, like at a top level, brewing methods.
okay.
And in that, then there are further coffee
Okay.
makers, like brands that
Okay.
use different techniques.
Okay. So in manual brewing method, which is your favorite?
I would say Aeropress is my favorite.
Aeropress.
Aeropress is my favorite. Yeah.
So last year you were the judge for the Aeropress Championship, right?
No. So we organized the Aeropress Championship in India.
Okay.
We've been doing it for 7 years now.
Oh.
And we became the world's biggest Aeropress Championship 3 years ago,
Oh.
with around 600 contestants
Oh.
around the country.
Wow.
And we also made history last year, where a guy from Ahmedabad won the Indian Championship and got 3rd place in the World Championship.
Wow.
Which is, not many people realize how crazy that is, how big that is, because Aeropress today is world's biggest coffee competition, and getting 3rd place in the world's biggest coffee competition is a huge feat. So yeah, we made history last year that way. But no, I haven't judged. I only judged the first year, just because there were not enough judges wanting to come judge the Aeropress Championship. Because they were like, what competition is this? Nobody knew about it in India. And today, there are a lot of people who would want to support the event and come judge the competitions and everything. But I've judged Kuwait Aeropress Championship.
Oh.
Kuwait, yeah.
Oh.
Kuwait and Qatar, both.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So what does these judges actually judge when it comes to a coffee from an Aeropress method?
So they judge. So 3 cups are presented at the same time. So they obviously are looking at the best cup out of the 3.
Okay.
So how would you define a best cup? Obviously, the one that is the sweetest
Oh.
will score more. Number
Okay.
1.
Okay.
And number 2, what flavors has he brought out? So these coffees will have different flavors, and the recipe decides how much flavors will be brought out of that coffee. So the judges essentially look for that, the most flavorful cup, most sweetest cup, and then most balanced. When you say balanced, it should have good proportions of everything, like acidity, body, and aftertaste. It should be a pleasurable acidity, a good aftertaste, good balance, good body. So that is called as a most ideal cup. So this is what the judges are looking for. And always there are 3 judges, and then it's like democracy. You choose the cup that you like the most, and then whichever cup gets the highest number of votes wins and moves to the next round.
Okay.
That's how Aeropress Championship works.
Okay.
And eventually 3 people will be left in the competition, and the guy who wins the
Championship.
Championship. Yeah.
Okay.
As simple as that. It is a people's competition. It is Aeropress Championship was designed to make it all inclusive.
Okay, like home brewers kind of
Like
thing.
anybody can go. The guy who won was um, a graphic designer.
Oh,
He owns a designing agency
oh,
in Ahmedabad.
oh.
So the owner of that company won the national championship, won third place in the world.
Wow.
Right? So that is what Aeropress looks to achieve.
Oh.
So that doctors come, engineers come, chefs come, bartenders come and compete. So it is open for everyone. It is a fun competition. It's not very serious. Everyone's shouting, whistling, dancing, and all that during the competitions. So it is for that. It is to
Okay.
bring the community together and make coffee more inclusive. Yeah.
Why Aeropress? I mean, does it mean like Aeropress is easy to make it, let's say, at home and all?
I would say it's very easy to understand, easy to make. Yes, I could teach you in 5 minutes how
Oh.
to brew a cup of coffee in Aeropress, and it is very versatile.
Oh.
You want to make a very strong coffee where you want to add milk to it. Yes, you can make using Aeropress. If you,
So from Aeropress we can make milk coffee
yeah,
also.
like the owner of this brand, Adukale. I
Okay.
don't know if you've heard of this brand.
Yeah.
He was a neighbor of mine. He's a friend of mine as well. He makes filter coffee using Aeropress.
Oh.
Why I took that name is because Arabica is such a traditional brand, right? It is like all Indian savories, especially South Indian
Yeah,
savories is
yeah,
that
yeah.
they make, and he uses that.
Oh.
Yeah, so you could use it for filter coffee, making like filter coffee. You could use it for making a very pour over sort of a consistency using Aeropress. You can do that. Hence, it is so versatile. It is very easy to travel with, and it is you buy one and then practically you wouldn't have to buy another for the rest of your life. Bad for business, but great as a coffee maker. Yeah.
So in your coffee farm, I heard that you are growing Liberica, not Robusta or Arabica. Is it like that?
Yes.
Why Liberica?
So one thing is I wanted to grow Liberica to stay different from rest of the farms.
Okay.
Because most of the farms today grow Arabica or Robusta,
Robusta.
and focusing so much on different varieties of these two coffees. And I wanted to stand apart from them is one. And the second thing is I also predict that the weather patterns are going to become much more tough going
Okay.
forward.
Okay.
We already are recording the highest temperatures in coffee growing regions.
Okay.
So the traditional varietals are struggling.
Okay.
And you speak to any farmer, they will tell you it is becoming more and more tough. Either there is erratic rains, there is too much of rain or no rain at all. So Libericas are very resistant that way.
Okay.
So less water, more water it can handle. And so it can handle harsher weathers.
Okay.
So predicting that 5-10 years down the line, when I'm old,
Oh.
then this will be yielding good.
Okay.
And then I will not have to have put in too much of effort managing the farm then. Hence is the reason why I chose Liberica.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Liberica is good for espresso or manual brew or both?
I say, any coffee is good for anything,
Oh.
right? It is like beauty is in the beholder's eye. Correct. Like you might like a Arabica, I might like a Robusta, right? Somebody else might like a Liberica. So it's personal preference. To be honest, like I'll take examples of mangoes. There's Totapuri, there is Malgoba, there is Alfonso. You might like Alfonso, I might like Totapuri because it's tangy and then it's different. Alfonso is super sweet. I might not like super sweet. So Liberica can be used for anything. At Benki right now on the brew bar we serve Liberica on the brew bar, not as a espresso, because
Okay.
I see that the population which I'm catering to at Benki doesn't really like the intensity that the Liberica gives.
Okay. So it's more intense.
It is very thick and syrupy
Okay.
that way.
Okay.
So a lot of people don't seem to like that in the coffee.
Okay.
So hence is the reason why I would say there will be an audience for it. They might not be as huge as Arabica or Robusta. Like I said, I am so used to drinking milk coffee. So first coffee in the day has to be for me a milk beverage. So that is because of my habit and my upbringing, right?
Correct.
So a lot of people who are used to be drinking Robustas might not like Liberica. But there will be enough people who are getting into the industry today will try all three and then say, hey, Liberica is my favorite.
Oh.
Yeah. So they'll be, and given India's population, I think I will not have a problem selling all the Liberica that I grow, or for that matter of fact, any farmer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But why, in example, cafes like Starbucks and all, they don't even talk about Liberica. They always emphasize on Arabica.
Yeah, the yield is so small.
Mhm.
This was such a ignored variety
Mhm.
of coffee, species of coffee.
Okay.
Hence, the yield is so small. For a cafe like Starbucks, it would become very difficult
Mhm.
because the consumption is so huge.
Mhm.
If they had to launch Liberica in India, for all the coffee shops, it would be practically impossible to get good quality Liberica. So, hence is the reason why the cafe chains tend to not introduce this varietal.
And why Starbucks don't even talk about Robusta also? I haven't. They take so much pride in saying that we are 100%
100%
Arabica,
Arabica.
100% Arabica, like
Yeah.
that.
It's a common misconception that Arabica is more premium coffee.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say it's premium. It's different than a Robusta,
Okay.
right? Like if you go to anybody in Tamil Nadu, to a household, and then say, look, will you drink 100% Arabica filter coffee? They will say no. There has to be this much pea berry, there has to be this much natural Robusta in it, etc. They love their Robustas.
Hmm.
So, again, like I said, people choose different ones. Obviously, Arabica gained more popularity because it was more complex in the sense I can get different dimensions from it. I can get different flavor notes, different fruits, different flowers, tasting notes I was able to get from Arabica.
Okay.
Hence, it became more popular.
Okay.
And globally, 70% of the world production is Arabica.
Okay.
So more people are exposed to Arabica. But Robustas, even today, Italy, France, Germany cannot live without Robusta.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they all love Indian Robustas.
Oh.
And so that is the reason why Robusta became sort of a bad boy of coffee, ignored varietal of coffee, or was mostly used for the caffeine content and not for the flavor.
Ah.
But a good grown, good processed Robusta, good roasted Robusta will taste phenomenal. You can have it as a plain Robusta coffee. You don't have to add even Arabica to it.
Oh.
I absolutely agree that it will not have the complexity like Arabica, but not that it will be a bad coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you said bad coffee now.
Yeah.
So whenever we visit Benki,
Yeah.
we see hashtag bad coffee.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, stop bad
Stop
coffee.
bad coffee. Yeah.
And I also see like one of your clients also carrying the same Gurudeep Murthy,
Yeah.
who was also one of our previous guests in the podcast.
Correct.
So sometime when he posted a story, I saw he posted hashtag stop bad coffee.
Correct.
So what do you mean by stop bad coffee? What is a good coffee and what is a bad coffee?
So, the coffee, let me tell you by what a good coffee is. A coffee that you like is good coffee. Right? As simple as that.
Okay.
So, who am I to say that this is bad or that is good? Whatever you like is good coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, is what I believe
Okay.
should be. So what is bad coffee? Bad coffee is,
According to you, maybe.
yeah, according to me, what bad coffee is: wrong labeling of coffee. Today there are so many coffee shops that call themselves specialty coffee, but they would be buying the cheapest coffee out there, right? So imagine you are not exposed to specialty coffee. You hear this buzz about specialty coffee, saying that, hey, everyone's talking about it. Maybe I should go try. I should see what specialty coffee. What is the fuss about? You walk into the specialty coffee shop, and then this owner, in the pretext of specialty coffee, is serving a very substandard quality coffee, right? And then you drink it and you say, this is no better than what I'm drinking. The 80 rupees coffee shop that is near my house is serving the exact same coffee. And here in specialty coffee shop, I'm paying 250 and it's tasting the same. What's the fuss about? Right? So that is bad coffee according to me. Right? You just can't be a specialty coffee shop by just calling yourself specialty coffee and having some fancy equipment. The product that you serve, there is a scoring system for coffee where any coffee that scores above 80 points can only be considered to be specialty coffee.
That you're able to say because you were also a judge in the past?
Yes, I've been judging, and then I've gotten trained formally on tasting coffees. I'm a coffee taster as well.
Okay.
We have a lab in Jainagar where we taste coffees, we give out reports, right?
Do you also give training, let's say if I want to learn tasting of coffee,
Yes.
do you guys also give
Yeah, we have a
training?
specific training for that.
Oh.
Yeah, at the school. We teach every month we have this sensory training program.
Oh.
And then I think over the last 8 years, probably we would have done about 200, 300 batches of sensory trainings.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, and who is participating in that?
Baristas come, business owners
Consumers, do they come?
come. No. Hardly any consumers come for those trainings.
But if a
there are.
consumer would like to come, would you say no?
No, we take on anyone. Like we say, when we meet them, we understand which level they are at in terms of their coffee knowledge, and then we recommend them the right program to do. So if someone were to, like a consumer who has no clue about coffee, who's been drinking instant coffee, and then he says, hey, I love coffee and I want to do a sensory program, probably we would tell him, hey, look, it's great that you want to do a sensory program, but there is a program before that you should do,
Okay.
because it might become too intense or too difficult for you to do a sensory program right away. So do the introduction to coffee, crop to cup of sorts, so you understand the basics of coffee, understand the terminology and everything, and then come for the sensory program, because it is a little more advanced training. So you need a short pretext to it before you come to the thing. So that is what we recommend consumers.
So, the International Barista Championship, you were judging before, right?
I have not judged the World Championships.
Okay.
I've judged other country competitions.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I've judged Kuwait, Qatar, UAE competitions before. UAE multiple times. I used to live there. And then the Indian Championship also I have judged before. The World Championships, no, I have not.
Okay.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you were a judge on so many international competitions.
Correct.
And recently, last couple of years you won Barista Championship in the national level.
Yeah.
And also you represented India in the international stage.
Correct.
So, how is it being on the other side? Most of the times you used to be a judge.
Yeah.
Now you are brewing coffee and you are being judged.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is the feeling when it comes to both the sides of being both the sides?
So the feeling is phenomenal. Being on stage, serving that coffee that you have worked so hard for that cup, to present that cup, you have put in so much of effort. It could not be 1 year, it could be multiple years of effort you have put into that. So it's an amazing feeling being on stage to begin with. And then you know both the perspectives. You know what a judge is looking for, and then you know as a contestant what is it. And they both are equally difficult, I would say. Here it's a lot of work for your mind, for your palate. You'll have to judge that contestant in 15 minutes and you have to judge them in the right way. If you don't judge them in the right way, you probably might be ruining his career.
So you are under pressure when
Yeah,
you are
when
judging.
judging as well. Yeah, because you want to be right in whatever decision that you take, because you know that barista has spent a lot of time, effort, money. Probably he has foregone something personally to be practicing and then being there. So as a contestant, I know today what are the pains that a barista goes through to be present on that stage and to win that competition. So as a judge, you should feel obliged. If you're not, then you're not a good judge, right? You should feel obliged to score him right and then give him what he deserves. So that's a huge pressure. Like I said, I've seen so many people's careers being ruined because they were judged incorrectly, right? And they got very disappointed. They felt very discouraged that they quit they changed professions.
Oh my God.
Right? So as a judge, you are under that pressure.
Oh.
But as a contestant also, that 15 minutes that you're on stage decides if the effort that you have put in one year or how many ever years prepping for that time is fruitful or not. So there is immense pressure there as well when you're on stage.
But I think both these dimensions complement on the other sides for you, right? Because you being a judge, so when you are a contestant, you know how a judge would expect, what a judge would expect.
Correct.
Now when you go as a judge, you have already seen the pain of
the baristas.
Prep and everything as a barista. So you think about that. So I think it complements both.
Yes, absolutely. It complements both. But now that I've been competing, I think I will be a very soft judge. I'll be too lenient is something that I'm worried about if I go back to judging again.
Correct.
But to be honest, if you ask me to choose between the both, I would love to be competing and not
Competing.
judging. It's more fun. You can tell a story. You can bring to life what you have in mind and talk to the world and talk to the country through that competition. Yeah.
So 2025 in Milan, you were competing for the World Championship,
Yeah.
right? So were you the first Indian to represent India and compete there?
No, every year there is an Indian that represents the
Okay,
country.
okay.
Anyone who wins the national championship
Okay,
gets to
they're-
represent the country. However, I was the first Indian to reach the
Semi-final.
in the last 23 years.
23 years, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that was different. That's why the country celebrated that victory so much, which I didn't expect. I was really disappointed that I stood 15th in the place, even though everybody else says that, hey, look, it was such an achievement. Everybody in the country was celebrating that win, etc. Absolutely, reaching the 15th place was great, but this year hopefully I'm trying to win the competition.
I think last year
but
also
let's see.
you tried to win.
Yeah. So last year I stood 15th.
Hmm.
This year I would love to win it. Let's see. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, definitely we'll do it. All the best.
Yeah. Thank you.
So now let's get back to this tricky question.
Yeah.
You said judges should correct. I mean, should judge correctly, right? So you ended up 15th.
Yeah.
Obviously, you would have represented thinking that I'm going to make it this year.
Yeah.
So do you think you were correctly judged, or is it the other dynamics that played a role in making
Yeah.
you not moving further ahead?
No, so when I went there is something called as a debriefing.
Mhm.
So when you go for the debriefing, they explain to you why you did not make it, why did you lose points, etc. They tell you the score
Okay.
sheets are in front, the judges are sitting in front of you.
Okay.
You can ask them any question you
Oh,
want,
okay.
and you can contest if you want to. You can contest the scores.
Okay.
If you think something was unethical,
Oh.
incorrect, you can contest.
So it's more democratic.
It is more democratic. So you are given that choice so that you improve. I mean, the debriefing is not to fight with the judges. The debriefing is to understand where you went wrong and then maybe
So that next time you can improvise.
exactly is the whole thing. So the competition is a culmination of couple of things, which is the quality of the coffee itself, and then you recognizing how that coffee is and then brewing it the right way to bring out the best out of that coffee, and then also your story. So you'll have to tell a story, and then I obviously spoke about Indian culture, Vedas. I spoke about how Vedas talks about jealousy, hatred, and greed. I connected that to, and I learned this from my grandparents. So I said today what I am today in the coffee industry because of what I learned from my grandparents,
Oh.
and then how I applied that
Oh.
in coffee, and I used vibrations and so many other things. So for the judges, this became too confusing
Oh.
because I was talking about too many things.
Mm-hmm.
Right at that moment, I said no. I deserve to have moved up. I was supposed to be in the finals. Was my immediate thought. But then as I came back home, took out the score sheets, kept reading it multiple times. Then I slowly sort of understood not everyone comes from the same culture. The judges.
Exactly.
I had a European judge. I had a South American judge.
Hmm.
I had an Asian judge. I can't remember which exact country. So it was a mix of. I was an Australian judge. I in fact met him last week, right, in Australia. So they all come from different cultures, different point of view. So they cannot connect.
That's
Everybody-
why
yeah.
what matters most to us might not matter
Exactly.
a lot to them.
Yeah. And maybe they could not connect that with coffee, with the coffee that I was serving. So many things played a role, and hence is why I did not score enough to move to the next round. And this year I know what I did wrong, so I'll definitely work on whatever I did wrong last year. Then I think I will be able to fix all of those, and then hopefully will be enough to win the championship.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that actually makes us think about whom are we serving,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I have always learned this from somebody that it's not about you trying to be right.
Hmm.
It is about what your target audience wants.
Correct.
Right.
Exactly.
So even though like personally, lot of things matter a lot to us,
Yeah.
but sometimes when we go and present it to other people, we also
Yeah.
have to think from their perspective and their
Correct.
expectations also,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. Like in Indian judges loved the story that I did,
Huh.
and the score that I got in India was one of the highest scores anyone has got in the country
Oh,
in the national championship. But however, there that story did not really fly. I got a much lower score. So obviously that was not the only thing. Even the coffee fell short. Getting the right coffee is also a very, very crucial thing. I used coffee from Panama. I used coffee from Colombia, and I had created a blend along with the Indian coffee
Oh,
as well.
okay.
So 3 coffees I used for the competition, which did not uh,
Go well with
as well as it was good, but it was not as good as the others.
Okay.
So sourcing coffee itself is a skill. And in India, for us, we don't have access to foreign origin coffees. Like other countries, they import coffee. In India, we don't import coffee
Why?
because the duties on the coffee are very high.
Okay.
So the exposure that a guy in another country has to different origin coffees is much higher than me, than us in the country. So that also becomes a barrier for us to source great coffees.